race fans? This edition of Through the Gears presented by Front Stretch. I'm your host, Tino Pattigno, and I can't wait to get back into this weekend's NASCAR racing action, this weekend's NASCAR betting action, and this weekend's NASCAR winning action. As we locked in Tyler Reddick last weekend for a major cash out, now it's back-to-back in the round of 8 as we had Logano at Vegas, Reddick at Homestead, Miami, and then who's up next for Martinsville. We got all that in store for you with a special guest, so I'm excited to get into it now. And also, we got to give a special shout out to Crystal Sparkle and my man Marcus for commenting on last week's video. Appreciate that. If you want to be shouted out, all you got to do is leave a comment below. And without further ado, let's go through the gears. Joining us now as we go through the gears, coming back on the show for one final time this season, it's the man, the myth, the legend, Wyatt Watson. Wyatt, thanks so much for joining the program. It's good to have you back on. Appreciate all the times you've come on this season, and how you doing? How have things been?
First of all, I'm so upset. Out of all the races to miss watching this year, I missed Homestead Miami Speedway. Raven has one of some people saying it's a top 10 race of all time that they watched, and best Homestead race of all time, which, by the way, 2011 Homestead race, best Homestead race of all time. Tony Stewart winning a championship there. But absolutely phenomenal race at Homestead. Takes a big bargain to say that was one of the best races of the year. And Tino, you won. You freaking won. You listened to you took my advice when we won at Michigan. We took it last lap pass to win it at Homestead. What a win for Reddick. What a win for your pocketbooks. What a win for a lot of people's pocketbooks at 6-1. And just simply what a race. What a playoff race down to those three guys, Hamlin and Ryan Blaney at the end. So I'm bummed I missed the race, but life goes on and we'll make money as we continue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the year at least.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're on a hot streak now, too. One at Vegas with Joey Logano. Now we're getting back to business at Homestead, Miami. And
what a call on that, too, by the way. Yeah. What a call on that.
Hey, it's even your Logano. Even your Logano.
I would have done the same damn thing, too. I thought the same damn thing for that race. And I just was – I thought about you and it's like holy cow, what a call. What a call.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to calling some more at Martinsville. But before we do just that, I gotta talk a little bit more about Homestead because I love this race so much that I was one of the people saying that this was one of the best playoff races I have ever seen, with the drivers running 1 through 7 throughout the field of the playoff guys, and seeing them, not only pass each other for position, but really look like each one of them wanted to win the race. And obviously we know that's the case week in and week out. But we're talking battles between Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, like the best of the best going at it. Christopher Bell, William Byron in the mix too. I didn't see anything during Sunday that ever got me bored or ever, like, my attention was locked in throughout the whole race, and it was great racing. And to see those guys like Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin step up when they haven't had that much speed throughout this playoffs, I feel like when it mattered most, they've been up there now. And hey, only one race left before the championship this weekend at Martinsville. But Homestead was a great one. And I think one thing I wanted to talk to you about before we now go into some Martinsville prep and some betting strategies as well that can sort of correlate to that is the playoff picture, right? So when you take a look at the playoffs right now, I'm going to pull up the standings for us and we can really dive in here. Tyler Reddick is obviously locked in with the win at Homestead, Miami. Glad we were able to cash in on that. Joey Logano locked in with Vegas, like we mentioned. Christopher Bell at plus 29. This was a driver where I thought heading to Martinsville, that plus 29 points would be like locked in. He would be good. But a few years back, Harvick was what? Plus 42 at Martinsville, and he didn't make it out. He did not go to the championship, and that was something that was really surprising to me that was brought to my attention in watching this Martinsville race from last year back. William Byron in the 4th place, but Christopher Bell is a driver that I think can advance. So even if he does on points, there's one spot left. Byron, Larson, Hamlin, Blaney, Elliott, even Bell, all have wins at Martinsville. To you, If you had to pick one driver now that is really catching your eye to advance to the next round, maybe one or two that are going to have a strong run in Martinsville based off their playoff standings right here, who do you think you got in this one that's really like, okay, this is a driver we got to pay attention to?
Obviously, first of all, we have to pay attention to Kyle Larson. The fact that he has had the season he's had, 1 point away from the regular season championship, has had so many wins. Undoubtedly, the strongest season compared to all the rest of the guys, barring his miss for the Indy 500, which is completely understandable. 7 points down is not a lot, but then again, you think of what if one of those five guys, I'm not counting Bell, like if Bell's not winning, because if Bell wins, it doesn't really change much for that fourth and final transfer. So if one of those five guys wins, so Bell needs to have a good race. Obviously, he's won here in clutch moment before. Obviously, Blaney's won here in the clutch moment before too last year. It feels like someone's going to come out in the clutch. Byron won here last in the spring. I just see Kyle Larson coming out and putting on the performance of a career to get to the championship four, because that's what Kyle Larson typically does. Now, granted, I'm saying this against the grain with all that he's done. Look at how he handled Homestead. He's going to be aggressive. If you thought he was aggressive at Homestead, just get ready for Martinsville.
Yeah.
Like, buckle up, buddy. Like, it's gonna be a roller coaster seeing what Kyle Larson's gonna do. I'm frankly excited to see it, and I'm anticipating to see him do well. Just take Kyle Larson. I think he finds a way to get it done.
I like that. I like that because of the season he's had as well, right? That's just
Mm-hmm.
been the case. They've been getting it done, getting the victories all throughout the year, and doing so in dominating fashion. I don't think he'll dominate Martinsville, but I can definitely agree with that sense of his time is now, the season he's been having, he deserves it. I would say everyone deserves a chance at the championship that's in this elite group of round of 8 drivers in the NASCAR playoffs. But I think if anyone has it
A
the
lot of
most,
people are circling that Joey Logano one though.
hey, that's the crew chief, right? They call him Big Paul.
Paul
So
Wolf deserves a shot at the title.
exactly, I'll give him.
I've said it on this show before, right? I've said it on this show before. Paul Wolf is going to could win this title, but that'll be at Phoenix. But yeah.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. And I think he and that team have played a pivotal role in Logano getting back to where he's at right now. One thing that I wanted to break down too, and this goes hand in hand with the playoff picture and the odds breakdown for Martinsville this week, and that is the championship odds. So Tyler Reddick, after he won at Homestead Miami, plus 300 now. Joey Logano, same price. Joey Logano, it is important to note, at Vegas, going into that weekend, I was telling everyone 12-1 to win the championship. Since then, 3-1, which makes sense. It makes sense to see this low value because of the drivers. Only 4 of them have a shot to win the championship. The other one is Christopher Bell. Obviously, he's not locked in by any means, like we said, but he's also another driver, 3-1 to win the chip as it stands now. Everyone else is great value. Something that I would suggest is if you think any of these following drivers have a shot to win at Martinsville, might as well bet their championship odds, because this is the highest you're going to see it all throughout this remainder of the season, these next 2 weeks. All right, Kyle Larson, plus 600 to win the championship. That might be the greatest odds we've seen for him to win the chip all season. He started out this season with that type of value, the plus 500, plus 600, because of how good he is. William Byron, plus 700 to do so. But then we get to some even better odds. Denny Hamlin, plus 2,000 to win the championship. Now, that one's honestly fair because it's Denny Hamlin. But Ryan Blaney, plus 2,800. And he won at Martinsville last season to get into that position. How about Chase Elliott, though? Plus 4,000. 40-1 for Chase Elliott to win the NASCAR championship. And yes, he'll have to win in Martinsville to do so, but he's done it before, and I think he can do it again. I love that price. Any of those bottom 3 guys, look, I'm throwing something on that because of those values we see. I don't believe all three of those, I think any three of those drivers can win. I don't think, Denny's a little shaky, but Blaney and Elliott, I really like their outlook heading into this weekend, and I love the odds that come with it. Wyatt, if you had to pick one driver, now you did say Kyle Larson at plus 600, but looking at those bottom three guys of Hamlin plus 2,000, Blaney 28 to 1, and Elliott 40 to 1, I mean, which one stands out to you the most odds wise, seeing those great values to win the chip right now?
Definitely all three. Look out for me. Like, that is insane that you're going to get that much of a value, especially just if all it takes is a win to get them to that race. Yeah. And then you look at Tyler Reddick. He's going to have a pretty decent car. Christopher Bell, as long as he doesn't have a brake issue, like, look out for him. Yeah. But it's really betting against Christopher Bell for that race because of how good he was at Phoenix earlier this year. Kyle Larson at plus 600, though, is the first number that popped out. It's like, okay, if I'm really going to think he's going to clutch up and get into Phoenix, I could also say he can do it and get a second chip. But I look at those bottom two. So, I mean, Denny Hamlin, I see 2,200 on FanDuel. Yes, FanDuel is actually going to be in this video. They don't have their odds for the race yet, but they do have the championship odds, as always. They have them at 2,200. Right, Blaney's also at a 30 to 1 value as well, but Chase is still at that 40 to 1. But I would say, I mean, the one that pops out to me is Blaney and Chase Elliott, because Blaney won here last year and looked so damn strong at Homestead. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to, I wouldn't say assume, but you would think that he's going to bring that same energy, that same car
aggression
back,
yeah.
and that aggression. Mm-hmm. He's looking for revenge on Tyler Reddick and them to get in that championship. But also, you got to look. I mean, as much Chase Elliott, the only reason I look at Chase Elliott is just how good Hendrick Motorsports was here in the spring, and he finished second that day to teammate William Byron at 750 odds for the championship currently. So, and by the way, William Byron is 750, and he's sitting above the cut line right now. Mm-hmm. 750 above plus 7. So that's food for thought with how good he runs he's had at Phoenix specifically, if he does get in. So that's another one I look at is William Byron. That's pretty much all three of the Hendrick guys because of how good they were last year or in the spring and again, Ryan Blaney, because Penske just feels inevitable at this point.
It's got to start with a win at Martinsville for them to get there at Phoenix. Kyle Larson's a favorite. That should be no surprise to anyone at plus 450. But following him is Denny Hamlin. Now, Wyatt, I'll stop here because those two have been the favorite all throughout the season. If you had to choose one driver between those two battling out at this racetrack, now I guess I would have to say your pick would be Kyle Larson since you mentioned him before, but Denny Hamlin, I can make a case for him because of how many wins he has at Martinsville. But and he also leads a bunch of laps. But when it comes time to get the race win, Denny hasn't been able to get it done at this track for a while. So for him to also be plus 450 alongside Kyle Larson, that's something I can't take. I think I already just answered the question there between the battle between those two drivers. It's going to be Kyle Larson. It's really been Kyle Larson all this season. Yes, Denny's 6-0 versus Larson and 1 and 2 place finishes there, but I don't think it's going to matter heading into this race at Martinsville because of the fact of the season that the 5 cars had. And like you mentioned too, in the spring, Team Hendrick was so dominant in this race. Denny Hamlin was up there, sure, but ultimately they finished 1, 2, 3. Alex Bowman in 8th there. I mean, you really can't beat that. And I don't think it'll be the exact same race, right? I think, like you mentioned, it was more of a Hendrick Motorsports type of domination day. But at the same time, you got to expect those guys to be fast, and especially unloading fast at raw speed. I don't think that Kyle Larson number is going to go down at all, or even up either. Like, I think it's going to stay at that plus 450. Even if he wins the pole, I don't see it getting much lower than 350 or 4 to 1. So that would be, to me, something that it wouldn't really matter if I bet on it now or waited. At that point, I might as well wait, see if We saw Ryan Blaney spit out in practice, cut his tire, had to start from the rear, and still, that was in Las Vegas, and the odds changed drastically because of that. So I would say wait on Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin for that exact point. Ryan Blaney's another driver where at plus 600 to win this race outright, I do like that value, but we saw him start in 11th place at Martinsville last year in this exact same scenario. So the odds could kind of get more in our favor here, the opposite of closing line value. But one driver that may have closing line value is William Byron at 8-1. So Wyatt, what do you think about William Byron versus Chase Elliott in this one? Because both drivers have similar values in terms of plus 800 to plus 850. Obviously, same team. Both drivers need to win this race. Which driver coming to Martinsville would you say has an advantage, or you would just prefer over the other?
I mean, I think that answer is easy with William Byron because he has 2 races, one here in the next gen era, 22 spring and this year's spring. So he's better in the spring race, and he just kind of had a bugaboo during the fall race with just an ill handling race car, and they did their best with that pods machine last year. This year, though, I mean, I think it's only up from that, especially with the race winning car. I mean, it's obviously not going to be wrapped in the Ruby, but it's going to be identical to their race winning car from the spring, I would imagine. I'm sure it's about maybe 10 more degrees hotter, which makes a little bit of a difference. But William Byron has the advantage over his teammate Elliott because of just his recent success. Chase Elliott, no doubt, will be in the top 5, I believe, fighting for that for the win. Will he take out his teammate to get in the playoffs? Probably, and it'll be just NASCAR racing at Martinsville is what we all hope. It's going to be tough with this next gen car. We haven't mentioned again the highs of the 1.5 mile. We got back down to end the year on the short track. So, but
Hey,
there's
it could be a one for the ages though. With the I will cut you off quickly and say I think the playoff drama of it all, right? And the
it's
positive
twos.
energy we see from Homestead could be shaping up to be the best Martinsville race of all time. Now, do I actually think that? Maybe not. I think it could play, at least from what we've seen in the next gen era. I'll say that. I'll be a
I'll
little
say the
bit more
second best,
specific.
the second best Martinsville next generate. I think that's attainable because nobody's going to ever beat the Hail Melon Ross Chastain move. That'll never
Right.
be beaten, and I'll be the best Martinsville next gen race until we fix the car.
With all the drivers that do need to win, Christopher Bell may just be playing it safe just to come in plus 29 and stay above the cut line in points. Is that his mentality, you think, heading into this one? Have a strong top 10 run, stay out of trouble, and stay alive in order to advance to the next round?
I think his goal this race will be to stay in the top 10, stay up front. Like you have to get your stage points to have a much better odds at advancing in the next round. Because if he can get it, assuming he gets max points, he builds that buffer from at least I think 20 without the win 29. Yep, 29 points to 49. That is a tough mountain to climb after stage 2 is over, and if he's doing that well. So I think obviously, yeah, of course he would love to win. He'd love to get the outright, but and 12-1's a good. I think that's a very decent number. The only reason I hesitate to get that number though is because of his situation. Do you want to bet on the guy that needs a safe race at Martinsville? Probably not.
We talked about the round of 8 guys. We talked about the playoff picture. We talked about the championship odds. Who's going to win the race at Martinsville? I got to start off with my pick because I want to know what you think and see if you're riding with me in this one. Ryan Blaney at plus 600. I feel like it's got to be him back to back. He is, in my opinion, one of the clutchest drivers in the sport right now. Now, I know what happened last week at Homestead, Miami was that Tyler Reddick passed him and ultimately just beat him. It was one move. Blaney was trying to block 2 guys going into the corner or coming out of the corner rather. And it was just a difficult situation for the 12 to manage. And he finished in second. But I think he's going to be pissed off about that. I think he's going to be looking for redemption because of that. And whenever Ryan Blaney's in those type of back against the wall scenarios, he's been delivering. Goes back to last year with him getting to the championship because of that. Why? What do you think about Ryan Blaney in this one at plus 600 to get the win?
I love that. I mean, that's one of my four. It's not really my main because I've been riding with them all episode. I think Kyle Larson for the outright at 450 is good enough value, and just the situation for him to win, I think it's just too much for me to say no. Like, I need to have Kyle Larson as the highest out, as the most favored outright on my card. But right next to him is Ryan Blaney. You are absolutely 100% on the dot. Just remember last year too with Christopher Bell winning at Homestead Miami Speedway. And yeah, he was also pissed this year and didn't win. But he's in a better point spot than he was, obviously, with the win last year at Homestead. So with that being said, I think Bell's gonna cool down and play it on the safe side. Even though the 12-1 number is good, it's just like we said, it's gonna be a safe race. But Blaney is gonna be one of those guys that's gonna make the daring moves. That's gonna make risk, and he will find himself, if he has the same speed he did last year in the fall, in position to maybe do something. And I mean, we saw, and he, even from starting up, I would like to see if he has if the qualifying if qualifying makes a difference with the numbers, to wait on his number and see if it goes any higher. But I do still like the 6-1 odd even right now. And I agree with you thinking that it's going to be more of a playoff guy that's going to win. That's why the other two guys on my card is going to be William Byron and Chase Elliott. Like, it's just, look at that. It's 300 cards. The 300 cards to finish 1, 2, 3. How can I not have all three of them again on this card? Yeah. It's screaming for me to have all three of those guys on the card. So plus 800 and plus 850 for Byron and Elliott respectively. That is, I mean, 8-1, 8.5-1. Pretty good numbers. Do I wait on that number after qualifying? I don't think so. I think I'd take it right now because of how fast they showed in the spring. And yeah, I mean, or you can wait. You can see how it goes in practice, what the reports are, and what they're looking like. Is William Byron going to have another soapbox of a car and have another struggle and then avoid that leg? Then maybe, sure, avoid putting money on him and look elsewhere. But at the same time, right now, I think it's just enough for me to say go with 2 wins on his resume at this track.
Definitely,
especially with one this year.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the biggest thing that I've seen. If you were telling me William Byron to win this race at this point last year, after he had such a poor race in the fall race here, I would have said, no way. I don't think it's possible. But the fact that he has that win in the spring, they were able to do a full 360 on what that car was in the fall last year to then capitalize this spring, this past spring. I really think William Byron does have a strong chance. I would go and say Chase Elliott to me would be higher up in my list with the values at plus 850. And I just feel like right now they've had more. It's really tough to break apart these two drivers and William Byron and Chase Elliott, because I feel like although Byron has more wins this year, I feel like Chase Elliott's been a little bit more consistent in running top 5. But in terms of leading laps and winning stages, well, William Byron takes that one as well, because I feel like they both have been crossing each other in terms of speed, right? One driver's fast 1 week. They're both been really consistent, but really it's been the playoffs that they've really both had to step up, and they've done it. William Byron was really strong at Kansas. If Ross Chastain doesn't win that race, I think William Byron gets it done. At the same time, we see William Byron strong at Vegas. Chase Elliott now strong at Homestead, Miami. It's the tracks where it matters most. Can they continue to step up? Who can be more clutch out of those two drivers? Well, hey, maybe Kyle Larson, all of the above. But at the same time, I think that's going to be really key to look at in this one. I also think it's worth noting no Denny Hamlin from you in this one. Can you tell us why no Denny's on the outright winners card for you?
It's just the fact, like we said, it's just something comes up. Something bites him in the butt and takes him out of the contention to win, or someone will just outperform him in that 11 team. or the pit crew. The pit
Pit
crew can
crew,
come
pit
out.
crew.
That's and
Pit
that's
crew's been
look
terrible.
at
Pit
Hendrick
crew's been
Motorsports.
bad.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite over at Hendrick Motorsports. All three of those pit crews are all-star level pit crews, and that's kind of like why if I'm gonna take a fifth option, maybe Ty Gibbs, because he also has a pretty good pit crew. I believe they haven't changed. Oh, I think they changed their pit crew, but still, it's the 35-1 is too good. But
Yeah.
but back to what I was saying, like Hendrick Motorsports' pit crew has been on fire all year. Barely any mistakes. Chase Elliott on pit road, I think he only has one pit road penalty in like 4 years, 3 years, whatever it is. Something
Yeah.
stupid, something ludicrous. Byron, again, it's just speed here, winning here has been a good thing. And then, of course, Kyle Larson, all of the above. Just has talent anywhere you go. You can't, and that's the odds that I just look at, and I have to hammer down, especially in moments like this where he needs the win or he needs even a good day. So I mean, I see Kyle Larson doing great. I see William Byron, Chase Elliott battling it out, and I could see Ryan Blaney like conjuring the voodoo magic and winning it once again. And we have two Penske's in the championship for us somehow in some way. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a card that is almost prone to not losing almost. Dare I say it? Knock on wood. Let's get some money.
Well, hey, I mean that's the positive energy we need, especially with these drivers we're seeing in this race and who needs to win. I think the biggest thing, like we talked about, is the pit crews. I think when with track position being such a key factor in
Especially
this
here.
race, yeah, especially in Martinsville, you can lose a couple seconds on pit road and it could be the end of your race. Denny Hamlin the past few weeks has only dropped spots coming out of pit road. It feels like every single time. If they only lose one spot or if he maintains where he's at, that's a good pit stop for them. And that's not the level of excellence that they have been at earlier in the season. Early in the season, they were dominant. They were one of the best crews. Now, not so much. And it's the fact that they have continued to not be a factor to helping him win that has hurt his chances of winning. At Martinsville, you can go in second, third, and if you lose a couple seconds, you're outside the top 10. And that's what Denny cannot have happen. Maybe they'll clean it up, but that's something I can't bet on because of the fact that that's been a consistent theme throughout the playoffs. I can't bet on Denny Hamlin because of that. And I definitely agree that the Chevy drivers of Hendrick Motorsports are going to be very strong at this track. And if anyone can beat them, it's Ryan Blaney, I think, at plus 600, like we talked about, maybe better value after practice and qualifying. We saw Blaney is one driver where we saw him not too strong in practice and qualifying at Homestead, and he still almost won the race. So I think that's something that's really important to note. He also started in 11th place in this race last year, charged all the way through the field, and was able to get the win. So don't be I would just say don't be scared if Blaney or don't be nervous about your pick if Blaney goes backwards in practice and qualifying because he always is strong and making adjustments to power through the field and make the most out of his car wherever he may start in this one. I like the fact that our cards line up. I mean, there's really no other drivers I can see. I mean, yes, maybe Denny Hamlin. I can potentially see if he does strongly in practice and qualifying, but even then, it's still the pit crew during the race that is the issue here. And I think
Maybe Martin Truex.
yeah, I can't do it. See, I'm glad you brought him up because last week was my final week of betting
You're never doing it again.
Never again. I had to have one final time for him. All the signs were telling me Truex last week. I couldn't do it now.
Wait for the 2025 Daytona 500 episode, folks. Just wait for that. Just wait for that.
We might have something. Then I don't know, but no. I'm going on the record. Never again until then. So I think it's perfect time to move on to some prop bets here, as all of our outright winners are locked and loaded, and we feel good about them. Let's feel good about other ways to make money in this one. I want to start off with the top 10 market because we're not going to find value for drivers in the playoffs. That's just what it is. When we look at all the odds, they're in minus 400 and minus 110 for all the drivers that are in the playoffs, and makes sense, but we want plus money when betting on top 10s. At least I think that's my favorite way to do it. One driver that I see has that, Bubba Wallace at plus 140 on Caesars. The 23 car in 3 of the last 4 races at this track, has the top 10. He also starts really strong. The qualifying effort has only been getting better. 9th, 6th, and 2nd in the last 3 races. And I feel like in terms of him starting up front, that track position is going to be huge for him to continue to get better at this track, for him to continue to have a strong run. And for a top 10 at plus money, when he's done it 3 out of the last 4 times, and he's been one of the strongest cars in the playoffs, I like Bubba Wallace top 10. I also want to touch on the top 5 market in this one because I feel like that is a way we can make some plus money profit on some of the playoff drivers. Ryan Blaney is one that I wanted to see here in the plus money. Right now, his best odds at the time of this recording is a minus 112 at Bet Rivers. Just can't bet any drivers with that value. I think after practice and qualifying, if his number goes up for him to win the race, we can also see maybe plus 100, plus 150 for a top 5. That I would definitely like because I don't think he'll go anywhere. If he starts outside the top 5, or outside the top 10, it'll take him a little bit to get up there. But I don't think we'll see him stray too far away from the top 5 all day in terms of battling it out with those playoff drivers that need to win. Now, William Byron and Chase Elliott plus 130 each to get a top 5. I like the value there. Why? Do you like that value? And is there any other top 5 plays you could see in this one?
I do like that value. If I'm going to take him for the win, I'll take him for a plus 130 top 5. Again, 1, 2, 3. I mean, even their top 3. I'll even peek in their top 3 value. I think Chase Elliott, a plus 280 top 3 is very, very good. I think William Byron's plus 230 top 3. I think it's good, but again, I kind of draw back to, again, just 1, my allocations, and 2, just the fall last year. I don't know if I want to put I don't want to put the house on William Byron, but I'll put the house comfortably on Chase Elliott with a 280, better value at the top 3. And then, of course, their top 5 at 130, I would put on. I would even look at Christopher Bell at a 2-1 for the top 5. I think, again, he has to have a solid race. A solid race doesn't mean a win, but it might mean a top 5.
When it comes to this final playoff stretch in the last 2 races of the NASCAR Cup Series season. Can't believe I'm saying that. And can't believe I'm saying, what are your favorite plays in this one to round things all out in what is going to be the second to last through the gears of the season? Such a great episode. So glad to have you here. It's been such a great season. But hey, let's close it out strong. Continue to make some money and profit off of it. Do you have any plays? Could be Xfinity Series, Truck Series, or some more Cup action that you got for us in this one?
First of all, for my favorite Cup play, I'm gonna take the back-to-back. I will take William Byron as my favorite at the 8-1. I just like the number the most, and it just makes the most sense with how fast he's been at this track. Not particularly in the fall, but particularly in the spring, and the success in the next-gen car. So if he rolls off good, I like his numbers. I like his odds. But let's go to the Xfinity Series, where someone called his shot at Homestead. He might not be in the car next year, but damn is he good at these short tracks, and especially with Joe Gibbs Racing equipment. Chandler Smith, I think it's the same kind of story we saw with Brandon Jones come 2022, before obviously Ty Gibbs took him out in those final moments, before obviously Brandon Jones went to Junior Motorsports and will now go back to Joe Gibbs after the season. But Chandler Smith at a 5-1. He's the second favorite. He's ahead of Allgaier and Cole Custer, who are 5.5. Both of them are. I think 5-1 is very fair for Chandler Smith, being that he's that good. The favorite is Eric Almirola, who won here in the spring at 3-1. And he had a dominant car. And of course, Eric Almirola, as we were saying earlier, almost won the Cup race in the fall. But this will be under the lights, Martinsville, on a Saturday night. It's going to be very crazy. I mean, other than, I'm just going to spout out other numbers I like. Sheldon Creed, 8-1. He almost won here with RCR in the past. Taking that same car, Jesse Love, at a 25-1. He's in the playoffs. So is he going to do some crazy? You betcha. You're going to see something crazy out of him. A number I don't like, though, is Sammy Smith, 7-1. Yeah, he's in the playoffs, but I just don't think that team has the consistency to do anything. I think I do like Austin Hill, 25-1. Just remember, he was on the outside and he was competing for the win. I know he's already locked into the playoffs after his win at Homestead, but what would be better than to have the momentum to keep going, get the win? So his 25-1 number, absolutely phenomenal. I would take that in a heartbeat as well. But my favorite play out of the Xfinity Series will be Chandler Smith going to victory lane and locking himself into Phoenix, another short track. Who knows if Chandler Smith can win the title in the Xfinity Series? What a story that would be. So let's see, and let's see what you like in this weekend.
Oh man. Well, for my favorite play, I think it's gonna have to be Ryan Blaney, but maybe not at the plus 600 number. It would be Ryan Blaney after practice and qualifying, because even if he does have the same price, well, that means he qualified good enough for it to not to move any higher. So I think Ryan Blaney's gonna be my favorite play in all aspects for this weekend. I think he goes back to back, and if he doesn't, maybe Hendrick Motorsports to win the race outright for their manufacturer bet. It could either be a Chevy, I believe they're plus 100 or plus 150. For HMS specifically, a little bit higher odds, maybe get them at plus 200 or anything in that range, I think would be definitely a smart play. You could either strategize it to bet them and just bet that prop and then fill in with a Blaney or even a Denny Hamlin, the two drivers that obviously aren't Chevy or HMS that could win this race at Martinsville. And I trust all your plays when it comes to Xfinity and trucks too. Wyatt, I mean, it's been so great having you on the show all throughout the season. I appreciate you coming on all throughout, the various races, the different tracks, all the different times we've been able to make money. I appreciate you coming on, and it's been such a fun time making bets with you, talking NASCAR with you, winning money and going crazy on social media as well. So I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show. It means a lot to me, and everything you do for Front Stretch. It's been great to see all your content this season. You got to give me two things before you leave here for the final time this season. First up is going to be where people can find you at, how they can follow you and support you all throughout the year, whether it's NASCAR or any other content, maybe some IndyCar action as well. And the second thing is going to be who you think is going to win the NASCAR Cup Series championship this season. So first off, let the people know where you can find you. And thank you again, once again, for coming on through the gears all throughout the show. The best recurring guest we've had. And I really appreciate you joining me on through the program.
It really means a lot to me to be on this program on a consistent basis, and hopefully next year we can continue that. We'll go even more. I do this every week with you, man. It's an amazing time coming on this podcast and throwing out what I'm thinking, what you're thinking, bouncing ideas off each other, learning what the market's saying, trying to beat the market. It's just fun doing that every time I get to come on here. Thank you again every time that you've let me come on the show and give my opinion on this topic. So going into 25, I know it's going to be fun continuing this, but until then, it'll be a fun Martinsville race. You can find me at Wyatt W Racing on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. You can also find me on Instagram at Wyatt_GameTime_Watson. And yeah, I mean, for the second thing, I'm going to go Insano. Because why? Because we're betters. Because we want to win money.
Yes, sir.
Ryan Blaney's going to be a back-to-back Cup Series champion. Take it at 30-1 now. I'm calling my shot on the show tonight. Ryan Blaney back-to-back title.
Let's go. I love it. That's a great shot to be called. And it leaves me excited to tune in to the race on Sunday and all the races throughout this weekend. So be sure to follow Wyatt. Wyatt, thanks so much again. I appreciate the energy each and every week you're on. And be sure, I know I'll be following the IndyCar content and coverage you got and anything else NASCAR related as well for Front Stretch and anything else you got going on. Yeah.
I will add that. Yes, I will. I'm pleased to announce on the show today that I will be doing a lot more IndyCar content for 2025.
Nice.
Man, if IndyCar could put their betting odds out, I'll be talking about Indy 500 odds as we go. I'll try to plug that. But I'll be doing IndyCar content on a more regular basis for 2025, and I'll be at the track covering for Front Stretch. There, of course, you can still find me at NASCAR tracks when I have the opportunity to go. But Thanks to Front Stretch. Thanks to everybody involved. Yeah!
Let's win big let's win big at Martinsville.
Let's get some money, boys. Let's go.
Thanks so much again for Ryan to coming on the program. Really appreciate him and everything he's done for the show this season. Be sure to check out the Stock Car Scoop after the race every Sunday. Only 2 races left to hear what they have to say. 2 episodes left of the Stock Car Scoop and everything that you need to know following the racing action as we get set for not only Martinsville, but the championship race at Phoenix. Be sure to follow me on social media at Tino, Pattigno. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments, or about anything NASCAR betting related. And let me know who you think is going to win the race in the comments down below on this video. I'll see you guys next week. Good luck, and be sure to tune in as we go through the gears.